Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter Watches TV, where I watch all the TV shows and then I come over here and I talk about them. So if you like TV shows and you like to talk about TV shows, why not come over here and hang out with me? Subscribe to my channel, please. Subscribe to my channel. And let's hang out and talk about TV shows and, I don't know, eat snacks and drink coffee or whatever you drink, you know? And let's just hang out and talk about TV shows. And today, we're going to talk about the newest episode of POLYFAMILY because Sister Wives was not on this week. Sister Wives was not on this week. Last night, I went to go watch Sister Wives and to do my reaction to it and take notes. And I was like, why is... Not Sister Wives, sorry. Thousand Pound Sisters. Thousand Pound Sisters was not on this week. I was like... People were like, what are you talking about? Sister Wives wasn't on this week. Oh my God, we just watched your reaction to it. No. Thank God... I don't know who's God. Cody is God. Thank God Sister Wives was on this week. What would we do without Sister Wives? All of these rumors are coming out, by the way, that Sister Wives is canceled, that there's no season 20, that Janelle came out and said she's not filming season 20. I see it on Facebook all the time, on the Facebook. Facebook's of the devil, by the way. But anyway, I see it on there all the time. People being like, Janelle Brown came out and said she's not filming anymore after opening up about Garrison's passing. Christine and David said they're not filming anymore. Then it says Mary's seen filming season 20 in Parowan, and Cody and Robin are out for season 20. Season 20 is just about the ex-wives. And I'm like, where is the truth? Why is this the one show? I mean, any other show, you could like Google search it and it's like, the next 3 seasons have already been renewed before episode 1 is even out on Netflix. But Sister Wives, why is it you cannot ever find any definitive evidence on whether or not the show is continuing? And I know when I say this, somebody's gonna be like, well, it is continuing because of this. Listen, if you can find it, tell me in the comment section below definitive evidence of where TLC or any of the wives have come out and said there is or there isn't a season 20. Because I cannot find any definitive evidence at all. I couldn't even 3 months ago find definitive evidence on when the next episode was coming out when they took the winter break. So it's like, it's so weird how they keep this show such a mystery. And it's like, it's so bizarre. But anyway, we're not talking about Sister Wives today. We're talking about POLYFAMILY. POLYFAMILY, the next Sister Wives. They should call POLYFAMILY the next Sister Wives. Somebody actually asked me an unpopular opinions video I did for my other channel, my Peter Mon channel. They said, I'd be interested to know how your watching Sister Wives affects your reactions to POLYFAMILY, or does it? Oh, it greatly affects how I watch POLYFAMILY because there's kids involved. And I think now, after 19 seasons of Sister Wives, we know the repercussions of how the kids feel about having been on video or film and their family fallouts and what they were forced to, like, this portrayal of this family that didn't exist. And so we can see the kids as adults now and how they feel about it. And now we're reliving it again in a completely different situation, a very sexualized situation with kids that are thrown on camera, that they're interviewed. And so yeah, there's no way that I can watch the show and not have that aspect of it. The other aspect of it is on POLYFAMILY, like, they catch them in lies all the time when they're in their confessionals. Well, early on Sister Wives, like, they still cover for each other. I mean, Mary is still covering for Cody, which I don't understand why. So it's like, early on, it's like you watch it now with I watch it with a very, like, perceptive eye of, like, what are they lying about? What are they not telling the truth about? Things like that. I mean, all these rumors have come out about Sean, supposedly these kids that he has, his ex-wife of his. I don't know about that, but they haven't mentioned anything. They've had Tyler's family on the show. They've had his sister on the show. They've talked about Alicia's dad and that her mom's passing. They've talked about Taya's family. They've visited Taya's family, her grandparents and everything. They have not spoken one thing about Sean's family on the show. I do think it's interesting that they all have such strong stances on families, but Sean hasn't shared anything about his mother, his father, any previous kids, he hasn't shared anything about that. And the rumor mills are just going crazy. And yet again, this is another way that, like, TLC lets these people get away with only sharing what they want to share. To me, somebody said to me on my other video, they said, thank you for always consistently calling out TLC. I mean, I love the TLC shows, I do, but their production team is warped. I don't understand it. I don't understand how they allow these people in these shows to get away with so much bullshit. I mean, on Thousand Pound Sisters, which I was going to say is not on this week. I have no idea why it's not on this week. It said something about the sisters are taking a break and they'll be back on June 3rd. I don't know why. But anyway, it's like on Thousand Pound Sisters, Amy Slate and Holt Herman straight up lied about what her arrest was for. She said she had a little bit of weed in her car. She didn't say, well, there was so much smoke wafting out of the car that when the police pulled up, because I was bit by a camel, they smelled this smell emanating from the car. And so that's why, because people are like, why did they search the car? They searched the car because there was smoke coming out of the car. Because it smelled so much like marijuana. That means they had the kids in the car, closed windows while they were smoking marijuana, because when they opened the door, all the smoke wafted out and the police could smell it, which gave them grounds to search the car. So then they searched the car and they not only found marijuana, but they also found mushrooms. So they charged her with 2 charges plus child endangerment. And she said she got arrested for having a little bit of marijuana in her car. Well, that's bullshit. And I don't understand why production will ask them questions like, well, like, you know, do you think that you should go back and see Dr. Smith? Or, you know, how many times a day do you fart? They think it's important to ask those kind of funny questions, but they don't think it's important to say, Amy, what really were your charges? Because you're not being honest about your charges. Like, the production for TLC is bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit, you know? More people might watch your shows if you actually held the people in the shows accountable. Because you're trying to show this realistic view of what's going on, but you're not showing a realistic view at all. I mean, with a quick Google search, you could have showed that Amy completely lied about what her charges were. So anyway, 1,000 Pound Sisters is not on this week, so we're going to talk about POLYFAMILY. Okay, so let's get into it. This week's episode was season 1, episode 5, called Along Came Polly. So my friend Tanya Jean and I, we had a long conversation about this earlier today. She's like, what did you watch last night on TV? I said, I watched POLYFAMILY. She goes, oh, I did too. We started talking about, I mean, it's like me hanging out here doing my video. We had so much fun talking about this show. But we both were like, this show is like a mess. Like, what is going on with this show? Like, this show is such a mess. And, I mean, we have some different opinions about things. I love when you have a conversation with a friend and you don't agree on everything. And then you're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Or they'll be like, oh, you know what? Like, now that you say that, like, I never saw it that way. I love those kind of conversations. So anyway, it starts at the house, and the chickens are outside. The kids are running around with the chickens, and Tyler's with the kids. Sean is blowing off the patio, and Taya is checking on him because he's still pissed from 4 episodes ago about the text message from Tyler and about the DNA testing or the blood test type or whatever. She talks about how she didn't feel comfortable on her overnight date with Tyler. Then they talk about how Sean and Tyler got vasectomies when Taya was pregnant because they don't want to have any more babies. Tyler got his checked and his vasectomy is holding, but Sean needs to get his checked. So this whole episode was basically about Sean getting his vasectomy checked. It could have been a 5-minute episode. That's what the whole episode was about. This is their last kid. They don't want any more. Sean says he is team no baby after 5. And then they make all these sexual jokes, and he's like, quit pushing against me with your pelvis. And she's like, what? You don't want me to push against you with your pelvis? And he's like, don't push against me with your pelvis. It's like so crude. It is so like, I mean, let's just be for real, okay? None of these people are anybody that I want to imagine doing it anyway. And so then to watch them in these very sexual situations and the sexual talk it's so bizarre to me. I mean, you know, like, here's the difference. With Sister Wives, it was built around this religious ideology of wives. It wasn't necessarily sexualized. I mean, when they talked about intimacy a little bit, but when Cody would go stay at a different wife's house, what was it, every 4 days or something like that? Every 3 days? Or switch over. I don't even know how he did it. But anyway, I mean, you knew he probably slept with a different wife, you know, sometimes, but not always. But it was never, like, sexualized. It was built as, like, this family show. And I think to some degree, I mean, if we're going to compare the two, that was why it was a little bit easier, I think, to accept Sister Wives and the kids in the show. For me, it's the constant rhetoric of the sexualization of their relationship, which I'm not saying that sex does not belong in an adult relationship. Obviously it does. I firmly believe, I mean, I talk on my other channels about the 12 points of intimacy and physical intimacy and things like that and the importance of it. It's not the only important form of intimacy. There's lots of important forms of intimacy, but it is an important form of intimacy. So does it surprise me that they're talking about it? No, but it's constant on the show. And when you have kids on the show as well, and you're building this as, we want to convince the world that a polyamorous quad-closed couple with kids is doable. This is not the family when they're, I mean, at one point in the show, Taya's knocking on the bathroom door. First of all, none of them can get any fucking privacy in a small ass house. And she's knocking on the door because he's giving a sperm sample to take to the doctor. And she's like, what are you doing in there? I have to pee. I'm like, you only have one bathroom in the entire house that you have to use that bathroom. And he's like, I'm in here getting my sample. And she goes, well, why don't you let me come in and I can help you? And so then she goes in there and they laugh and whatever. And then he comes out and he's like, thanks for the lending hand. I'm like, this is so cringe. Literally, there are fucking 5 kids in the other room. Seriously? Like, is this constant conversation of sex needed? Like, it's so bizarre to me, number one. Number two, anytime it's only 2 parents, they talk about how difficult it is to get these kids to sleep, okay? And that bedtime is chaos. One of the parts of the episode, they had 4 parents at home, okay? 2 of the kids, the 2 oldest kids are like 11 and 12. So you're talking about 3 toddlers that 4 adults have to take care of. Can you miss me with that shit? Okay, first of all, you knew what you were getting involved in when you had kids to begin with, because that's a choice you made, okay? You made a choice to meet these people on a swingers app, get together, move in, and co-parent together. You have 4 parents, okay? If I were a single parent of 3 or 4 kids out there, getting them kids up, getting them bathed, getting food on the table for breakfast, getting them off to school while I go to work, so I can come home and do it all over again, so I can go to my second job while grandma comes over and takes care of them, or I pay a babysitter. I cannot even imagine watching this show while these people want to complain about how bedtime is chaotic with 4 parents. 4 fucking parents. And you guys can't get these kids to settle down for 2 seconds. 4 parents? Seriously? And all of them complain. It's like, why'd you have the kids? You all, it's not like, I mean, people ask my husband and I all the time, why do you guys not have kids? Because we don't want that. That's not what we want. You know, I think, hey, listen, people that want to have kids and be parents, bless them. That's a lot of work. I talk about it being one of the most underappreciated careers. Parenting is a career, okay? And it's a choice. But then to do it and constantly complain, I'm not saying parents don't complain. My friends that are parents complain all the time. I'm talking about constantly on a TV show that can you not edit it out a little bit? Can you not edit your mouth a little bit where you're constantly complaining about how hard it is to take care of 3 kids with 4 parents? Give me a break. Anyway, so then now we're at Sean and Alicia are going on a date because Tyler and Taya went and had their overnight. So, you know, Sean has to appease Alicia. Alicia makes me so sad in watching this show. Like, I was saying this to my friend, and my friend Tani said, my best friend, she goes, she chose to be part of it. She's like, she is a willing participant as an adult in the situation. I go, I know, but I feel bad for her. She goes, she signed up for it. She signed up for it. And you know what? There is truth to that. I do agree with that, right? But she always gets, you know, the short end of the stick kind of thing. So Sean and Alicia are going on this date. She said she's been in her head about hearing about the other date because they've been talking about it a lot. So this is the situation. Sean, Taya, and Tyler constantly are talking about sex, dating, all this kind of stuff. Alicia doesn't want to hear it. The reason Alicia doesn't want to hear it is because she knows that her husband, Tyler, chooses Taya over her because, I don't know, apparently Taya fucks like nobody's business or something, okay? Then Sean is constantly talking about Taya and not giving Alicia any attention because it's his wife, his best friend. He makes this very clear. His wife, his best friend, his partner, his confidant, everything. And also the one that lends him a hand when he needs to get off, apparently. So everybody wants to fucking be with Taya. Nobody wants to be with Alicia. And she's totally figured that out, okay? That's why I feel bad for the girl. So I don't know why she don't take the kids and leave, okay? Because they are not nice to her. I don't think any of them are that nice to Alicia. Tyler is patronizing to her at best, but I don't think any of them are that nice. And she has set so many boundaries saying, I do not want to hear about your sex life with other people. I don't want to hear about y'all fucking Taya. I don't want to hear about it because she says, I get in my head, and this makes total sense. She's like, it's not about the fact, because they're like, Sean at one point in the day is like, why is it weird to you? Why don't you want to hear about it? She's like, because I don't. And he's like, but we got together as swingers. What she explains is, it's not that she's a prude. It's because he says you're vanilla. And she goes, I'm a polyamorous person in a closed quad. I'm not that vanilla. And I'm like, amen to that. And he goes, well, it's not like I'm tying you up to the roof. And I'm like, could you? And she said something about you couldn't even reach that high or something. I'm like, thank you for putting him in his place. I can't stand Sean. So anyway, but she says in there that she is not on good terms with her husband or with Sean. Well, really, it was Sean. And that she's not being intimate with anybody. Alicia's the only person in the house that ain't getting none, okay? And that if she hears about it, then it gets in her head about, well, why are they wanting to fuck Taya, but they're not wanting to fuck me? I get that. I understand that. Okay? I mean, and she says it takes her back to the beginning. So at the beginning, it must have been all men wanted to fuck Taya. So did Alicia just agree to this because Tyler was going to leave her to be a closed triple with them? I'm confused, okay? Has that come out? I don't know. She says that she and Sean's intimacy has been strained recently, and so they're doing something Alicia's never done before. Painting. I'm like, oh, okay, so the other ones went and got an Airbnb on the coast and fucked all night long, and y'all are going to like a wine and canvas? Okay. So they go painting. Sean is nervous. He'll mess up. They kiss. She thanks him for going out of his comfort zone on this date because Sean doesn't want to paint because he thinks he's going to be all messed up. And then at home, and this is so cringe, you guys, Tyler and Taya are with the kids. Taya's talking about how hard she's talking about the postpartum and that she's really struggling with it and stuff like that. Then they talk about Sean and Alicia on this date. And she's like, oh, you know that Sean's complaining. And Tyler's like, well, he loves to complain, so he's probably happy. And she's like, yeah, Alicia does too. And they both start laughing at Sean and Alicia and like talking about how they complain and they're never happy. And they're just making fun of them. And I'm like, this is so weird. I thought y'all loved each other on this close quad. Sean does not love Alicia. He doesn't love Tyler. Tyler and Taya are talking about Sean and Alicia behind their backs. Taya tolerates Alicia. So Alicia's off on her own. I mean, it's so bizarre to me. Then during the date, Alicia finds out that during the date, when Taya was having her meltdown at the Airbnb, that she texted Sean when she was overwhelmed. And Alicia says she wished that she had the same relationship with Sean and that she's jealous of the men. I think it's weird that while she's having this meltdown on her date that she's with Tyler, that she reaches out to her husband. It's like they want to have these boundaries in the relationship, but there are no boundaries. I mean, this is the worst advertisement for ever being in a polyamorous relationship that I've ever seen in my entire life. It's the worst. It's the worst advertisement. The men keep on bringing up the sex part, even though she doesn't want to hear about it. She says, Sean doesn't understand the boundaries. He asks if it's a jealousy thing. He says he thinks it's strange that she gets weirded out by talking about the sex stuff. The producer asks them, like in a confessional, how often they have sex. Sean says, as often as possible. And she looks at him like, you're a fucking liar. She looks at him and she says, no, we don't. And you can tell in this moment what a liar Sean is. It rolls right off his tongue that he's such a liar. And he goes, and he doesn't even say, well, yeah, I mean, we don't really have as much. He goes, well, you're so vanilla. He blames it on her. I have never seen anybody be so gaslit and put down like Alicia in this episode. I don't understand how she can watch these episodes back and see it and not be like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, I need out. He says she's so vanilla, and she says, I'm not that vanilla. I'm in a polyamorous relationship. Then it's back, and Tyler and Alicia take the kids to the carousel. So they're taking their two oldest kids that they had before they came into this. Tyler makes a point of saying that they have a special relationship with these kids, not because they're their biological kids, but because they're the oldest kids, and so they have a different bond with them. What would be the problem if you did have a special relationship with them because they are your biological kids? Because this is the fallout that we're going to see, okay? Is that these kids are now 10 and 12 years old, 11 and 12 years old. So let's say 10 years down the road when they're in their 20s or early 20s, and they're looking back at this show and they think, my parents didn't love me for being their biological kids enough. Like, that wasn't enough, okay? The detriment they are doing to these kids in this relationship, let alone showing it to the world, without their consent. These kids cannot consent to being on a TV show, but they're on a TV show anyway, okay? About this relationship that is so bizarre to me. So, but the fact that he even needs to make that clear, it's like they're constantly trying to prove to us that all the kids are all their kids, okay? So anyway, Alicia talks about her mom passing from cancer when she was 18. It's a really sad situation. She talks about her mom was a flower child and that she'd be happy for her in this relationship. She talks about how her friends and family donated money and that they're going to get this carousel animal in her mom's name, this carousel. She talks about grief. She gets real upset. Tyler, with his weird smile, kind of like, you know, consoles her a little bit. She says she wants this to be a happy place. Then she thinks about calling her dad, because her dad is her last living parent alive, and so she doesn't have a relationship with him because her dad does not respect the relationship that they have, doesn't honor the kids that were not Alicia's kids as her kids as well. She worries if something happened to her and Tyler, that something could happen to the kids, that her dad could petition for guardianship or adoption. And that they have an upcoming appointment with another attorney. She says her kids had a really strong relationship with her dad before, but now they don't even have a relationship, or her other two kids, they don't even have a relationship with her dad anymore. Which was weird to me because I was like, okay, so because of this relationship, your kids had a strong relationship with their grandparent. Your father doesn't respect this relationship that you're in, so you've now taken a fundamental relationship away from these kids because of your need to be in this polyamorous relationship that doesn't even work, okay? Based on fucking each other on an app. So you took away a relationship from a fundamental grandparent relationship from these kids. The only reason they don't talk to him anymore is because he doesn't respect Sean and Taya as your partners, and he doesn't look at her kids as your kids. Okay, so that's a good reason to take a grandparent out of somebody's life. And you wonder why he might petition for guardianship if something would happen. I can't even imagine why he might want to do that in a situation like this. Tyler worries that Taya and Sean won't like it, and she says she has to talk to the quad before she talks to her dad. Nobody would be stopping me from talking to my parent if I want to talk to my parent. I don't give a fuck, okay? And the rest of them, they talk to whoever they want to. Taya is on the phone with that woman from that other relationship all the time, and she ain't asking them, are you okay with me talking to this woman that I have a flirtatious relationship with that I'd like to fuck if we weren't a closed quad? She ain't asking nobody, but Alicia feels like she needs to ask because the dad has been so disrespectful because he sent a Christmas card to his 2 biological grandchildren and signed it Grandpa, and to the other 3 grandchildren, he still sent a Christmas card and signed it his first name. But that's how disrespectful he is because he'd said, I don't want them coming anymore. We don't know the in-between stories. I feel like there's a lot that's being left out about this dad relationship. Because then they say, well, he said that we couldn't come to family events anymore or vacations. So anyway, they're back at home. Taya is tired. She's always tired. Q didn't sleep. He had a cough all night long. She was up every hour. Sean's giving her a suggestion about feeding, and she gets real frustrated with him and just walks off. She won't even listen. She just looks like she's just she's fucking over everything. Taya's always over everything, all the time. Alicia's in the kitchen. She overhears the whole conversation. And then she asks, this is important, she asks Sean, she goes, have you read all the information about taking your sample yet? And Sean bites back at her and is like, well, of course I've read the information. He gets real nasty with her. And then she goes, I was just asking you. And he goes, well, and I was just answering you. He's a total ass to her in this moment. She then goes in to talk to Tyler, and she's like, they're mad at each other, and Sean's taking it out on me, and Tyler's like, yeah, in this moment, well, whenever anybody fights in the family, it affects the other people. He tries to comfort her. She says Tyler always tries to comfort her, but Sean never does. Then they go to the second attorney to get a second opinion about the third-party adoption. The other attorney said that they would have to get legislation changed. This attorney, who grew up in a non-traditional family, a community that raised her, I don't really understand it, but anyway, she says that there's actually precedent for a second parent adoption, that to have a legal adoption for all the people taking care of the children. I think it's interesting that the second attorney knows all about this because she apparently deals with non-traditional adoptions. She says there's a chance that they could get the judge to approve it, but it doesn't seem like the attorney believes it to me. She throws it out there, and they're all like, oh, this is really good news. What's interesting to me is they all walk out of the room, and the attorney's just sitting there, and she's like, well, yeah, call me if you're interested. And they're like, okay, why wouldn't you in the moment, if this was so important to you, why in that moment would you not look at this attorney and say, let's move on it? If you're telling us that you can do this, let's move on it. Why would you walk out of that room and have to go confer, okay, about calling the attorney for yet another meeting that you're going to have to pay her an hourly rate for? Why in that said meeting that you're already in wouldn't say, oh, if we can do this, let's move forward with it? Why would you have to call her up? Are they all a bunch of fucking idiots? Or is this all for the show? Do they not really care? I mean, the kids are so lost in the shuffle of this whole thing. It makes me so sick to my stomach. Now we're back at home, and it's bedtime. It's chaotic. This is where they're talking about the 4 parents for 5 children. That now that they have the good news about the adoption, Alicia wants to tell them about her dad because she wants to tell them before she reaches out to him, basically, because she doesn't want to take them by surprise. Before she reached out to him, and it really took them by surprise. Although over here you got Taya talking to her girlfriend on the phone that she wants to fuck house down, okay? But she ain't getting it. She's in the kitchen being like, really? I can't wait to see you, Lexi. She ain't asking for nobody's approval. She is not asking for nobody's approval, okay? And she is wanting to just get down with that gal. And here, they all are blindsided. It's like Alicia has no voice in any of these relationships. Tay and Sean say that Her dad needs to apologize to them. They go on this whole Christmas card thing about how he signed it Papa to his biological kids, but just signed his name to the... I think it's nice he even sent cards to the other kids. I mean, let's take this out of concept for this. I mean, if you have a grandparent that then you have step grandkids, he's not going to always maybe treat those step grandkids. I'm not saying it's right, but he's not going to necessarily always keep those step grandkids the same. And there's a lot of family dysfunction that doesn't have anything to do with just them being in a polyamorous quad relationship. You know what I mean? Taya said that he's gone out of his way to separate him from the children. Well, I mean, here's the thing, okay? I understand that the world wants everybody for us to believe that Taya's children are Alicia's children because they've chosen to raise them together. But on the show, they're fighting over the importance or lack of importance of the biology of the father, okay? So if they aren't even convinced that they're all for raising his children together, how are they supposed to convince Alicia's father that he should treat some woman he doesn't even know's children, possibly with a man he doesn't know, that have no biological relationship to him whatsoever, except for that this couple, his daughter and her husband, chose to shack up with them because they were fucking on a swingers app. How is he supposed to consider those his grandchildren just because they say so? You know what I mean? Like, let's just be for real, okay? I mean, I think we are painting this man to be the villain, and we haven't even heard his side of the story. Not to mention, we don't know what led up to him saying, I don't want Taya and Sean coming to family reunions anymore. Okay? I mean, maybe the other members of the family said, we're not comfortable with it. They're not part of our family. No matter, I mean, they've been together 5 years now. I don't care. We're not comfortable with it. Who knows? We don't know the other side of all of it, right? And so they go on and all about this. Tyler and her dad used to be real close. He says that he wishes they could move past it. Sean says if it were anyone else, they wouldn't even be having this conversation. And Alicia's like, what do you mean? It isn't anybody else. It's my dad. And Sean goes, well, that shouldn't matter, unfortunately. And he is such an ass. And she goes, of course it should matter. I mean, they have no sensitivity towards Alicia whatsoever. And she's like, of course it should matter. Sean says he's not above the rules just because he's her dad. He goes, let me clarify. It just means he's not above the rules because he's her dad. And then her and Sean argue over setting a boundary versus forcing this apology, because he's like, well, you have to set boundaries. And she's like, you're wanting me to force an apology out of him, which won't be genuine. And he's like, yeah, but he needs to apologize. He's just, I mean, it is so black and white for Sean. He's just so cold. She gets up during the confessional and walks away. It was very early days. Christine, remember picking out the wedding dress on Sister Wives? It's like seeing it back again. He's just completely unaware of how what he says and what he does affect other people. And I used to think that Taya wasn't that way, but Taya's just as cold, honestly. She comes back in. They ask if she's okay. She says they're fine. Sean goes, I guess we're okay. Taya says it makes her really uncomfortable that she's willing to let it go with her dad. Alicia's, because Taya's family is all accepting, so she doesn't really have to put herself in somebody else's shoes. Alicia says she's not doing it, and then Taya says, why are you yelling at me? And then she says, why are you yelling at me and raising your voice? I rewound it twice. She's not raising her voice or yelling at her. She's expressing herself passionately because nobody is listening to her. I have never seen a moment in a very long time since Cody Brown of gaslighting on television when Taya said to her, why are you yelling at me and raising my voice? I was like, in that moment, I was like, oh, thanks Taya for the real Taya showing up, because I just saw the real Taya show up. So this is who you really are, Taya, okay? You're not this family, hippy-dippy, loving everybody. You are an I want what I want when I want it. If I want to fuck this chick from another relationship, and I want to treat my current partner wife like shit, I'm going to do what I want to do to get what I want to get, okay? I mean, she's sitting there, she's putting Alicia down. I mean, it's so sad. Then they turn around, and her and Sean completely turn around, and Taya and Sean are like, oh, we want this for you. We want this relationship for you. And then they say, why don't they call... Taya's like, why don't you just call him and lay it out? I'm like, what is going on here? You literally just said that you can't believe that she's letting it go, that you don't want him back in your life, that she's yelling at you and all this kind of stuff. You are gaslighting this woman so hard. I can't believe Alicia's not sitting there like going like, what the fuck is going on? Am I going crazy or are they crazy? Because 2 seconds ago they were telling me that they don't want anything to do with this man. Now they're telling me that this is all they want from me and that I should pursue it. Then I'm being told that I'm yelling at him, and I say I'm not yelling at him, and she says, well, you're raising your voice. I mean, it's so bizarre, you guys, the dynamics of this family. Hold on a second. Let me, just gonna stop here in just a second. I don't know if they realize how they come across on camera or if they just don't care for a paycheck, but I know first season TLC, they don't make that much money on a paycheck. So I can't believe it's all about that. Then it's later, and Tyler's sweeping the kitchen. Taya goes to, oh, this is the whole sample thing. Taya goes to brush her teeth, but Sean is in the bathroom getting a sperm sample. She goes in and lends a hand. They go back into the kitchen and laugh. She asks him if he read over the paperwork, and he answers her and laughs. Goes, yeah, I'm reading it right now. I'm like, well, this is different because when Alicia asked you about the paperwork, you went off on her. But when Taya asks you, it's just like no big deal, right? And literally, Taya's question is exactly the question that Alicia asks. Have you read over the paperwork? But he yells at Alicia for it. But with Taya, he's completely fine. They talk about having sex that morning before the sample. And you can just see it on Alicia's face. She's like, I don't want to know this, number one, okay? And the producers ask if it was breaking the rules because it's officially the next day. And Sean's like, no, because we hadn't gotten out of bed yet. And then she keeps the sample in her shirt on the way to keep it warm. Taya says it takes a lot to get her embarrassed, but telling the receptionist that they had sex that morning was really embarrassing for her. Okay, please explain this to me, Taya. That you are embarrassed to tell a receptionist in a doctor's office that you and your husband had sex this morning, but you are not embarrassed to tell total strangers that you meet at Santa Claus Village that you are with another couple that you fucked on a swingers app? Can you explain to me where you don't see the embarrassment of that? You have a problem telling a receptionist, okay, of a doctor's office that does vasectomies that you had sex with your husband that morning. That is embarrassing to you, but you are not embarrassed to tell some random stranger that you done met at Santa Claus Land, okay, that you are fucking 3 people that you don't even know. I mean, that you moved into their house with them after you met them on a swingers app, okay? That isn't embarrassing to you, but telling a receptionist that you had sex with your husband, that's embarrassing to you, okay? Girl, now I understand why you don't get nothing, okay? That, to me, was weird. Now they're back at home. Taya's on the phone talking to Lexi. And she's like, she just gets it. She just gets me so good. She's in a polyamorous relationship. And I think in the last episode, because she said, Lexi gets me because she's also in a polyamorous relationship. She also has 5 kids. And she also has one other, like, partner in there. And it's a closed 4 quad. And I'm like, well, you just described Alicia. Why don't you get along with Alicia? This one, what she said is all those things, plus she had a really hard pregnancy, which Alicia doesn't understand because Alicia didn't have a really hard pregnancy. So that's the difference. The real difference is that they want to fuck each other, okay? Because Taya keeps on bringing up, the producers ask her if, like, she would, like, get with her. And she's like, well, no, because we're in a closed quad that's not open yet, she says, which means maybe they're going to open down the road. And then she says, and also because they live 12 hours away. So if they didn't live 12 hours away and your other partners were willing to open their quad, then you would be willing to fuck this woman. I'll tell you how I would open this quad if I were Alicia, okay? I would open this quad to 3 and I would be alone and suing their asses for child support and custody is what I would be doing, okay? And let Tyler fuck that woman all he wants, because that's what I would do. I take those kids and run for the hills and have my relationship with my family and get the fuck out of there, okay? I'm telling you where this is going. In 5 years, if this show is still on, we are going to see Sister Wives Exit Part 2, and Alicia is going to be out of there. She is going to be the first one to leave, okay, like Christine, and she's going to be out of there, marrying another man, being happy that she is no longer a polygamist, or polygamist, whatever. No, not polygamist. She's in a polyamorous relationship, and she will be a monogamist with one husband, raising those kids. That's what we're going to see 5 years down the road, okay? And then Alicia asks them about taking a sample, and they're talking about how they had sex that morning. Alicia, again, is talking about how they don't respect her boundaries. Taya and Sean are fighting, but now they're good. So she's like comparing the relationship. She's like, Sean and I are not good, and we're not being intimate. How are Sean and Taya not good, but then they just had sex this morning? So it's not just about the sex. It's about the intimacy. It's about the relationship to Alicia. Taya says, why would you say that? Because Sean's like, oh, well, we had sex this morning. And then they all look at Alicia, and Alicia's like, like she just breaks down like she's fucking losing her mind because the other 2 people had sex that morning. And Taya's like, why would you say that? Like, you know she can't handle it. Why would you say it? Which, again, shows that there are not equal boundaries. Tyler, Sean, and Taya have no problem talking about fucking each other all the time, okay? Alicia's over here. She don't want to hear any of it, all right? She needs out. She needs to get out of this relationship. And so Taya says, why would you even say that? Sean comes in and apologizes to her and says, well, I didn't really know, like, what I didn't mean it that way. But you said it. And he will not say to her, I'm sorry, that was a shit move. What he needs to say is, I'm sorry, I didn't respect your boundary. That was a shit move. I shouldn't have said it. But he doesn't. He dances around it, and he will not apologize to her. And he says, I'm sorry, but he doesn't say, I'm sorry for being an ass and not respecting your boundaries. It's just an empty-ended apology. There's no accountability for it whatsoever. Alicia says maybe they can't get back to where they were in the first place, and she doesn't know. She's like, maybe we can't even get back, me and Sean, to where we were in the first place. But I don't think that Tyler's going to leave Taya. So if it's up to Alicia figuring out if her and Sean have no relationship, then what's going to happen is if they stay together, it's going to be Alicia over here and Sean and Tyler and Taya over here, like it already is emotionally. But I think it's playing out in real time. And then Taya wants this fourth woman in. So are they going to bring the fourth woman into this quad? How's it going to work? Like, it's so messy to me. It's so messy. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.